In this presentation, I am focusing on points made in both Nair and Bowler's readings, while bringing in examples from Zachary Jason's Game of Fear article, which Mary Bernard will be speaking about in class, the optional reading of A Rape in Cyberspace by Julian DeBell, and the Black Mirror Christmas special. Within Nair and Bowler's readings, I will take terms to relate them to the Black Mirror episode, the Game of Fear article, and the Rape in Cyberspace article. I'll be using cyber bodies, embodiment, disembodiment, re-embodiment, touch, and new digital Cartesianism. The Game of Fear article is about Zoe Quinn, who is 27 and a video game designer. She received threats from strangers due to her ex-boyfriend that she met on OkCupid. She had a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend because he wrote and published a long post about her sex life and private dealings to several websites that he knew had a history of harassing her. Quinn says that people sent her very threatening messages, and she did not know how to explain this to the judge who was behind these cases, because the people were anonymous, faceless, and they could be anywhere, as the article explains. I feel like this goes well along with disembodiment. Because the body is extended into another space, and they are digitized, they are more comfortable with saying this information because of the anonymous setting, and they do not see that there are consequences to these actions. This also goes well along with new digital Cartesianism because of the freedom of expression that comes with disembodiment. This article also focuses on touch, because thanks to technology and the increasing culture of surveillance, as explained in the article, that the ex-boyfriend didn't need to touch her. He said that he knew how to weaponize the metadata of their relationship, and he could destroy her without touching her. The next article, A Rape in Cyberspace, is about an avatar, Mr. Bungle, that forced other avatars to violate their own self, or their re-embodiment of themselves as an avatar. This took place in an online living room. In the article, it explained that these actions were confined to the realm of the symbolic and at no point threatening in any player's life, limb, or material well-being. This can relate to online bullying or other forms of sexual harassment online. If people think that their actions are not going to have consequences, they don't think that the people are going to have any real reaction because they are not actually affecting a person, they're affecting an avatar. But because there is a person behind the avatar and behind the profile online, they are being affected in a way, and they are being affected mentally. In the Black Mirror Christmas episode, we saw that people's consciousness were being removed from them in order to get a confession out of them of the crimes that they committed. We saw that their consciousness were placed into a white egg. Instead of them being connected to their body, their consciousness was disconnected from them, and it was re-embodied into this little white egg thing. They were embodying the people into the egg without their consent. Even though they are not harming the person's body by extracting their consciousness, they're harming their consciousness in a way that confuses them and causes distress. These are some questions that I asked myself as I was watching the Black Mirror episode, as well as reading the 3 articles for class. They're not something that you have to reply to necessarily, but they are something to think about when you think of the idea of online violence. In Nair's article, he talks about the aspect of touch on page 75. He says that touch is a proximate sense. It requires physical space sharing for touch to happen. I'm relating this to the definition of rape, which according to the Webster Dictionary is an unlawful sexual activity and usually sexual intercourse carried out forcibly or under the threat of injury against the will of usually a female or with a person who is beneath a certain age or incapable of valid consent. Do you think that touch requires physical space for this to happen? Bowler talks about new digital Cartesianism, which is the erasure of the body. These functions are necessary of meaning and signifier of what is accepted as real and true. Are the constructed online places real because these people are using these spaces? And if so, do you believe that what happens within these places are true themselves, like in Game of Fear and of Rape in Cyberspace? She also talks about the social imperative which we have been raised is that there's one primary persona or true identity, and it's in the real world, and this is attached to a single physical body. If this is the case, the crimes would be happening to the person themselves and not their online persona. Do you believe this? Why or why not? The last thing I have to say is that in the Black Mirror episode, the people's consciousness were re-embodied into the egg without their consent. Do you think that harming someone's consciousness is the same as harming someone's body? Do you think it's just as wrong, or do you think it's wrong at all? Why or why not?